All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I have a guest on the show on this episode who you were on a bunch of them near the beginning. Like this show's been around for a while, and you were on a lot of episodes. I think it was at least three of them.
Yeah.
And it's been years. Like it's been quite some time since I've had you on. Since then, so I think the best way to start this off is if you want to introduce yourself, because that's different too. Since the last time we talked, and then we can sort of go into it from there.
Yeah, I got to work on these introductions because I've been changing my name and my moniker and all that
Yeah.
a lot recently. So
Yeah.
my name is Kevin. Kevin Cratch is my actual last name. Kevin Roy is the name I used to perform under. Mr. K is the new project I'm performing as.
Okay.
Paying a little bit of homage to my teaching past and present actually at the moment through the pandemic.
Okay.
But yeah, Kevin is my name. Let's
Right,
go with that.
Right. Let's go with Kevin. Sure. So, I mean, I guess that's maybe a good place to start is the identity of who you are as an artist, right? Because
Totally, yeah.
Kevin Roy as a performer, you had a couple albums under your belt. You were doing a lot of touring. You're playing a lot of shows. So, what kind of provoked the decision to sort of take a hard shift into a new persona after having put in all that work and all that time into developing that, presence, I guess, in the music scene?
Yeah, so that was about a 5-year project, and the change was kind of brought about by the burnout factor, really. Like you said, like I spent a lot of time on the road, a lot of touring, a couple albums under my belt. There's a lot of work that went on behind the scenes of that project and stuff to get things going to where it was, and but as such, it compromised a lot artistically and just with my own identity. Had a lot of struggles with that, and like just feeling like I was growing further and further apart from the artist that I was, and that I was promoting. And performing as. So I guess like a few songs kind of came to me that were stuff that was touching into some more I guess vulnerability and some stuff that was a little bit maybe more of my I don't know if you want to say like heavier songs, so to speak, but just more emotional, more pointed, and I felt like I was connecting with those songs. I was comfortable in that vulnerability, and I think it really came through in the shows, and the audiences and stuff were really connecting to this couple of new tunes that I had brought forth as Kevin Roy at the time. And then after I concluded my last Kevin Roy tour, actually with my wife, the two of us were up in out in the northern BC, I think is as far as we went, somewhere up there. But for a summer, this was 2 summers ago. Anyway, we got back and started talking about it all, and I just really felt like a change was necessary. And so I took a little bit of a hiatus and rediscovered kind of a new identity and reemerged as with Mr. K.
Was it? I mean, I'm sure it was a difficult decision because, again, like all that time and just, I mean, with touring and everything too, right? You've developed a name for yourself. People know or knew that when they were going to see a Kevin Roy show or hearing a Kevin Roy tune, they had an idea of what the sound was, right? Do you feel like you've strayed considerably from kind of your basic sound that you developed over that time? Or are there strong elements of that still in there?
There definitely is some elements that have carried forward through from the Kevin Roy to the Mr. K project, but although I didn't want to give it any kind of boundaries or any put it in any kind of a Kevin Roy box, so to speak. Sure. I wanted to be open to new possibilities, and I mean, I really owe a lot to Rusty Mattias for really helping me in that. He's who I worked with, the producer of this first record with as Mr. K. But yeah, he really kind of, I think, helped me break out of some of the molds and some of the kind of boxes that I'd kind of built around myself as an artist as Kevin Roy. To develop new areas and just kind of be free to express and in the songs that we were working on.
Well, I don't want to focus too much on the Kevin Roy thing because, like you said, you have moved on to this new personality, but I'm just kind of like, did you feel like you were sort of stuck in that? What was Kevin Roy, I guess, as an artist? You had like a folk thing. You had, definitely some country leanings, especially on the second record. Yeah. Like, did you feel like you were kind of pigeonholed in that genre based on the amount of work you've done?
You know what, like, I guess like what I said kind of from the beginning is like when I started the Kevin Roy project, I was really connected and in tune, aligned with the artist that was Kevin Roy, the songs that I was making. But like you said, kind of it kind of got more into this kind of this country and this folk, and I think I was kind of building into an artist that I had strayed so far from that, but I guess I kind of had this kind of trajectory in my mind that I had to kind of follow, and it was just started getting, not aligned with myself, and it was, stuff was starting to not jive, and yeah. And then,
Okay.
so from the ashes of Kevin Roy is Mr. K.
Did it feel good to kind of have that hard reset and I just basically like new
Oh
name,
man,
new beginning?
it's been super liberating. It's felt so good to kind of be born anew, and not really kind of have, like, just allow yourself to be who you want to be in the way that you want to be. Let the songs be the way they are,
Yeah.
the way they come to you, put them out, and just not really, don't put any chains and stuff on yourself artistically, and really listen to yourself. And like I said, like, I think I took a year. I hadn't planned on taking that long of a hiatus, but I worked on this album with Rusty Mattias,
Mhm.
and I ended up sitting on it for quite some time before rolling stuff out. I got an animal here running
Yeah, I've
around.
got a dog chewing a bone in the background too, so that'll probably come through also. But yeah. Comes
Anyway,
with the territory
so
of internet calls, right? Yeah.
yeah. So where we are, Mr. K. Yeah, feels really good to be creating this new project and allowing myself to kind of get back in touch with myself, and
Cool.
actually discover myself in many ways, that I hadn't really kind of tapped into before.
So for people who don't know the backstory and maybe are hearing you for the first time as Mr. K, how do you sort of define what this project is? It sounds like it's a little bit more wide open than what your previous work,
Yeah,
but do you have kind
I
of a way to define it?
I mean, if you're talking like musically and genre kind of
Yeah.
speaking and stuff, I generally kind of say it's like pop music, but with, rock and classic kind of vibe elements to it. When I approached Rusty, I said I want to make like a Neil Young in his early 70s kind of harvesty era kind of
Yeah.
Neil Young, but I want it with the production of George Martin, something a little more sparkly, a little more, some mellotrons and
Okay.
some layers and stuff like that.
Okay. That's
So
yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
and then so I've been kind of coining or working on this term, cosmic Canadiana, or cosmic balladeer. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to to work with that a little bit, because there is a lot of some cosmic themes and stuff in some of the music that I've been writing and working on.
Well, I was going to ask you about the cosmic thing because a lot of the kind of promo images and things that I've seen from you as Mr. K are very like they're very cosmic. There's lots of outer space kind of stuff happening, and
Yeah, I was
it's
testing
very
some stuff
different.
out and having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah, for sure.
do you feel that kind of like is that something you always wanted to do? Is kind of be like because it's almost goofy some of it, right? I mean,
I've
like
always, you know what? I've always been fascinated. I've always been fascinated with, with the stars and the universe and stuff, and whether it's just looking through the telescope with
yeah,
my dad when I was younger and stuff. But yeah, like, I mean, and then like you said, the kind of the goofiness and the like. I've also really been into like. I was really nerdy into like the graphics stuff in high school and like the Photoshop and that kind of
yeah,
thing. So that's kind of like I like this kind of, I've taken that aesthetic of like the, maybe like a Sergeant Pepper's sort of cut and paste sort of
okay,
artwork that I've kind of melded into a little bit of the artwork through this project and stuff as well. It's been kind of, just kind of fun to play around with for me, really.
yeah. It's cool. It's cool. So I mean, I do want to talk about the new music, but I just
Yeah.
we're talking on the internet. There's a pandemic happening. How has this affected you? Because everyone's been affected in some way or another. Whether it's not only musicians too, right? Like everyone in the entire world has been affected by this. But
Totally. Everybody. Yeah.
how has this affected you? Like as a performer, as an artist, as someone with music that you want to get out there in the world? What's the impact been on you?
It's definitely different. It's definitely not good.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, I think we have to work with what we're given right now. I mean, like for me, the first couple weeks of the first lockdown there in March were quite challenging.
hmm
I'm quite prone to anxiety and just the uncertainty surrounding all that, with not only the industry but just the world in
yeah,
general, and just
yeah.
seeing a lot of the division and stuff like that. Like I was definitely in a starting to get down that anxiety kind of panicky kind of place that was not super pleasant. So the first few weeks were kind of challenging. And then, as I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit here, with the new music and stuff,
hmm
I just put a single out for this harmony, with the music video being of this fox den.
Yeah, it's super
Um,
cool. And I mean, you've been posting pictures on social media of these foxes for a while before this, right?
Yeah, and so my wife and I, we live just east of Winnipeg, on a little property here, and we have this fox den on our in our yard, and we've been here 3 years now, and every year there's been a new litter of cubs that comes out, usually in March, April, something like that. And it was 2 weeks into this first lockdown, and I was just feeling very I needed some kind of routine, or I had to figure a way to ground myself and balance myself, because I was turning into a bit of a nervous mess. And
Sure, yeah. I
being,
think a lot of people have too, right? I think that's the effect that this has had on.
and it's and I mean that's the nature of this. It's okay to kind of feel that way, but it's important to find ways to ground yourself and to reconnect and realign. And
Totally.
and for me, that's what it was. Is these foxes came out about 2 weeks into the pandemic, and I just felt so intuitively pulled to them that so I'm also a photographer as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Aside from the music, and I've been working on that a lot recently. And so it was just, to me, it was almost more opportunistic as a photographer, but eventually I was sitting there. So what I did is I set up this ice fishing shack I have, a pop-up shack as a photography blind.
Okay.
So I put it out there, and I was a little ways from the hill, so I'd crawl up under my ice fishing shack every morning at 6 a.m. for probably about 3 hours till the sun was, decently into the sky at that point. And I remember just looking at my camera one day and looking at the little, I always take pictures, I'm a photographer, but I'm I just felt compelled to take videos. So I just kind of flicked the dial and I just started playing around with it. And I ended up compiling hours and hours and hours of footage. And that's what we just edited down, or I just edited down to that video for Harmony.
It's a very, I mean, like you said, it's opportunistic. This happens to be on your property that this happened, right? The timing and luck of that.
Everything. Yeah. Like I said, serendipity has been a big piece of this whole Mr. K thing. I feel like since I've been stepping into doing these things that I really feel pulled to do and stuff, it just seems like there's all these wonderful opportunities that I just feel like are just there for the taking, sort of. And that's, I guess, one of them really is And at the time, I've talked to Avery here, my wife, about it before, and she's like, why are you doing this? What is your goal? And it's just I didn't really have a goal. It was a meditation more than anything, or therapy for me. It was just I just going out here just to have some routine in my life and just observe the natural world and breathe some fresh air. And
cool.
And then the music video is just kind of a little way for me, I guess, to kind of share that experience with the rest of the world, and hope they find some of the piece that I found in the process of making it.
Did you always know once you had the video started out that it was going to go with that song, or was that what's the connection between the video and the song? Is there a connection?
No. So I guess in hindsight, there kind of is. I think the video for the idea for that, I had the footage obviously finished. I finished up probably when they left around June, July. When summer started, the foxes moved on from that den, and they I guess eventually live on their own and stuff. And we don't have to talk about fox behavior, but that's I've learned a little bit in this observational period. But
sure.
No, the idea came sometime later on. I was sitting on the footage and I'd revisit it from time to time and just look at it. There's hours and hours of stuff, and I started kind of picking the good stuff, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if it was a shower thought or what, but all of a sudden it just kind of clicked. I'm like, you know what? I know that Harmony was going to be the single I'm going to be releasing before this record's coming out in the new year, which we can chat about in a bit.
Sure, yeah, we will. Yeah.
Anyway, so then it just kind of clicked that, you know what, it just seems very fitting with the Harmony and the unity theme and stuff. The hindsight thing I was talking about before was that foxes, and specifically red foxes, are one of the most abundant mammals on our globe. They're found on every continent, I think, except for Antarctica, I believe. Someone can maybe fact check that, but I just the abundance of the red fox and the symbolism of bringing people together and stuff. It just seemed like, you know what, this really fits. And I'm like, with the dozens of hours of footage, I'm like, okay, well, now I have the task of taking that and making it into 3 minutes for this this video. And
so how has that been received? I mean, people are obviously interested in it for different reasons. So hopefully they like the song and the images, but what kind of response have you got from that project?
It's been super overwhelming. It's been emotional. It's been really nice. Like I said, when I put it out there, I just it's my way of, I guess, kind of sharing in that, the excitement and the process that I had when I went through it. And I've shared it to a few different places before. It's been picked up by a few different channels and shared places, and the comments that are coming back in, and a few have definitely, I'd be lying if I said they didn't move me to tears. A few of them have been very, hit me in the feels for sure.
Very cool.
It's been neat seeing that impact kind of, and that ripple being sent across to other people just from, listening to the song and seeing the footage.
Yeah.
So
does that song, do you think that song is representative of the other stuff on the record? Like if people are hearing you for the first time and that's their introduction to you?
That's the all-encompassing, that's the song to which all other songs on that record can kind of it's the linchpin between them all.
Okay.
I don't know how you want to describe it, but yeah, that's definitely that's the sound I'm going for.
Okay.
With that tune right there. So
cool.
With that is you can kind of get a little bit of an idea of what's to come with the singles that are coming after, or the record that's coming after.
When did you record all this stuff?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. I've been sitting on it now for 2 years.
Wow.
I started 2020, so 2018 summer.
Okay.
As soon as I got back from that last Kevin Roy tour with my wife there out to BC, I had a grant to do the next Kevin Roy. It was going to be the next Kevin Roy record,
Okay.
the third record for Kevin Roy. But then at that time, I was kind of going through that kind of questioning what is my identity in this whole thing, and who am I as an artist, and what songs are going on here. I had a couple, like I said, of the songs done, but I just felt they were so different from what I'd been doing, or they're touching into places or they're hitting on places that I wasn't really singing about necessarily in the past with that project. And then, I started working on those first songs with Rusty in studio when we got back. That's when it just started. Actually, the serendipity, back to that again. We right when I started recording, we moved to our new place, which is this property here. We're just out east of Winnipeg, south of like Deacon's Corner, kind of in the Lorette area. The house we moved into is actually a historic Manitoba school.
I think I saw a photo of them. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll be talking a little bit about that in the socials coming up. But it's a school that was built in 1896, I believe. It has its own Government of Manitoba website.
That's really cool.
That has all the lists of the teachers and principals and stuff that taught in this school. And then, like I said, the serendipity is that my wife and I we're both teachers as well. And here we are now, the teachers taking care of this old school, one-room schoolhouse that's highly
really cool how that comes back around.
Yeah. So it's been pretty neat, and those little synchronicities and serendipities and stuff are really pretty cool to see kind of how it unfolds. And then with that, I guess, kind of came the whole Mr. K thing. I'm like, okay, well, why don't whatever future I make for myself, or kind of head into Mr. K, the teacher, Mr. K, the musician, kind of just streamlining my future so it's all the same name anyway. So
makes sense. Yeah, totally. Yeah. When are you expecting this to come out?
So there hasn't been an official release date yet, but it will be in the new year, I suspect in January or February.
Cool.
The date will probably be released in the next couple of weeks, I would imagine. So awesome. Through as we head into December here, that'll be set. We're rolling out a live video right now that's coming out on Wednesday. Nice. I was hoping to do some band videos. We had actually been doing some rehearsing back when we were still able to do so.
Yeah.
But obviously with the restrictions and things, the way they're going here and the numbers that are looking here, that's been shut down. But I am super grateful that my wife also happens to be very talented and a member of my live show, my live arrangement.
Right. Wasn't she on your other record, your last record too?
She hasn't been.
Okay.
So having a member of the live performing band living in my house, and that I can actually perform still with, has been really nice. So the two of us went out and did a video out in the backyard, right just by where our fox den is on our property. Cool. And it was a chilly one, that's for sure.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, with the length of time that it's been, like you said, 2 years ago, when you put these recorded these songs, do they feel old to you? Like, I mean, I know you're still kind of showing Mr. K to people, but how do you feel about the songs now? Like, are you excited about still getting them out there, or do you feel like you've now moved on to something else, or to better songs, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'm definitely finding rekindling the excitement for it in, you know, sharing it for the first time to new people and
Yeah,
stuff. Like I said, this album has been, and these songs have been like mine and a close group of, you know, like my family and the production team or whatever. It's been
sure,
just kind of our own little thing now for 2 years. And it's kind of fun to, yeah, finally be showing these things off, kind of one by one a little bit. And yeah, pretty
cool.
soon it will be something that is now out there. And to answer your question, I guess, I am writing a lot of new material. I have a lot of new stuff on the go that I'm super excited to start working on. But like you said, I mean, there's still a release of this debut that's got to be put out first. So I don't know. I'm just kind of working on the side at the new stuff, but I'm super excited to. I still really. I haven't even performed these songs really. I
Right.
played I think we did one show of this. I did a couple showcases. We did one in Toronto, one here for the Manitoba Arts Network, and so yeah, I did 2 showcases, and I think one show we did down at the Handsome Daughter before things started changing here in January, I think it was.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Well, you know, obviously, no one knows how long this is going to last for, this pandemic, and like you said earlier, the numbers are getting kind of crazy, and it doesn't look good right now for where we are. But you know, supposing this changed next week, I mean, so let's say this ended next week. What's kind of the first thing you want to do as Mr. K with this album you have now? Once you can actually go out and play shows and tour and do all of the things that you used to be able to do.
You know what? Like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do. I'm trying to stay as in tune to the process of it and not getting too far ahead of myself necessarily. Cause
Sure.
yeah, I've done a lot with Kevin Roy and stuff, and I've definitely made a lot of mistakes and I've had some successes there, and I want to try and build upon the latter rather.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But anyway, honestly, I think the first thing I'd be super pumped to do is just start working with the band and start working on these songs. The album itself has a lot of layers to it and does have some depth to it. And we had just kind of started scratching the surface of bringing these songs to a live arrangement. And I'm super excited to just really, really hunker down with the band and get these songs, you know, ready for the stages and stuff.
Do you still play any of the old Kevin Roy material, or is that all? Maybe you completely separated the two in terms of.
You know what? I don't think I have a concrete answer for that. That was another question that was asked of me recently, and I don't think I have a definitive answer. There's I haven't listened to some of that stuff, and the songs I've written as Kevin Roy, I haven't listened to much of that stuff in a long time. So it's kind of, you know, it's like listening to another artist or something, as cliche as that may sound. But you know what, there's definitely still songs in there, and there's stuff that I still do. It was a part of me and still is a part of me, some of that. And I don't think I could for sure write it off.
Yeah.
But
well, maybe a better question then is like, do you think there are songs from your past that you could see being remade in a Mr. K style?
Oh yeah, that's
a better way of looking at it.
I mean, if I was to bring in any of those songs, I would love to Mr. K-ify a Kevin Roy song.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
There were some good songs. Like, there were definitely some good songs on those 2 records too. So like,
well, thanks, man. Yeah, there's, you know what, it would be neat to revisit for sure. Definitely, I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and self nostalgia is like
it's the best kind of nostalgia, right?
I love reminiscing about that kind of like, you know, things of the past. And
for sure,
you know, actually kind of a little bit of a tangent maybe you could get down with. Remember those Mighty Max things? They were like Polly Pockets for boys.
Vaguely remember them.
Anyway, I've recently, that's kind of come across my newsfeed some way, and it's been kind of nostalgic. And anyway, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. So maybe a Kevin Roy, Mr. K-ified Kevin Roy tune or two, maybe something that comes across.
Maybe one day you'll do a tribute show to yourself, right? Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm glad you're still. I mean, I'm glad you're still, even though you've changed personas here and you've changed your sound, and I'm glad you're still doing this and you're still creating and you're still doing things that obviously are meaningful to you. You know, and it's nice that you're able to make that kind of change, because I think a lot of people do get stuck in something that maybe they're not really feeling anymore, because this has kind of been their vehicle for so long that it's hard to distance themselves from it. But so assuming, you know, things end relatively soon and you can go on tour as Mr. K.
Yep.
Is it going to be promoted as Mr. K, formerly known as Kevin Roy? Or like, because you obviously have you have audiences and you have connections and you have contacts, and of course most of those can still be, they know you as Kevin. The performer name doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
is it going to be an uphill battle to try and get yourself out there again, or how do you work that?
I don't think I'm trying to cut all ties I can with the Kevin Roy kind of moniker and stuff. So to answer your question, yeah, it would be strictly just Mr. K
Yeah,
now. And like, yeah, I mean, I tried, it's been a slow kind of change over from, that over the couple of years here, I guess now. But I think I'm at a point now where I just want to, like, I think the people and contacts and friends and fans and family
yeah,
and like whoever has kind of, did
they know who
enjoy
you
the
are.
last, I think I've given enough time to kind of show this is where I'm going now with things. And
Sure.
I would love for you to, hop along and see where it goes. Hopefully you can get down with it. It's I'm the same guy. I'm just trying to be more true to myself here.
Yeah,
And yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, is this new record being self-released, or are you working with anyone as far as labels or anything, or?
It's going to be independent.
Yeah,
Yeah, just doing it myself here right now. Yeah, trying to do as much DIY here
right on.
as I roll things out, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that, like, based on, again, like, looking at the artwork and the cosmic stuff and the photography and all that stuff is definitely coming from you. So it makes sense that you're kind of
Yeah, it's
taking it that to that level of DIY, right?
yeah. I was definitely the kid in class that liked to, in group work, oversee everything and make sure that everything was kind of, done up to a certain kind of standard or artistically or whatever it was. So maybe I
Yeah,
might have been kind of hard to work with in school. So I apologize anyone that, maybe did
yeah, yeah,
projects for me back at Kelvin there. Or,
yeah,
anyway, but yeah, like, I mean, having those kinds of abilities and those skills, I just feel, it's kind of what lights me up. I love
sure.
doing photography. I love doing music. Sometimes, yeah, like people ask a lot of times, like, well, why don't you just do photography, or why don't you just do music? Like, why do you? And it's just like, well, you know what? Like, it always kind of irks me, I think, when people, like the question people ask you is like, what do you do? What do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a
Yeah,
doctor, I'm a lawyer, and it's just like, yeah, there's some people who are passionate about their work, but I think the question should be more like, what lights you up, and like,
yeah,
what is your real path? Like,
yeah. Like, who
like,
are you
and
versus what's your job?
yeah,
Yeah,
versus don't kind of identify or label the person by the job and stuff that they do, but more the passion or the drive that they have as just a human on this,
yeah.
this experience that we're all having.
Well, it's usually more
Um,
interesting to find out about anyway, right? Is when you're meeting
totally.
someone. Yeah, yeah,
And who says you have to be one thing? Like how many of us go through, career changes and
yeah,
stuff, and why can't you have a few different careers at once? I'm teaching right now as well. Like I'm a teacher, I'm a musician, I'm a photographer, I'm doing all kinds of stuff,
yeah.
and
You're a Fox
I'm just
documenter.
trying to a Fox dog. Yeah, like I kind of, that was when I was going into it, I'm like, well, if it doesn't pan out, maybe I can do. I've always loved the like watching the behind the scenes of the like planet Earths and
Yeah, it's
stuff,
super cool. Yeah,
and
yeah.
like seeing the people in the photography blinds for weeks trying to get pictures or videos of that like
For the one
exotic
second shot that
bird
they,
for that
yeah,
1 second.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's like I've been kind of oddly like that appeals to me.
yeah.
So yeah,
That level of patience,
maybe I
eh?
can, yeah, try.
Yeah. Although I guess, I mean, it kind of tracks, right? Because I mean, like you said, you recorded these songs 2 years ago. You've been slowly
Mhm.
moving into the Mr. K thing, so that patience is there, obviously, with your creativity in general, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, and if that is too high caliber, I could always just resort to like a Steve Zissou or for you, that's a Wes Anderson one, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Just go out and
Love
make
the
your
Life
own YouTube
Aquatic.
channel of
Yeah, just do
nature.
your,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mr. K's Nature Show. Yeah, awesome. So if people are hearing about you for the first time on this show, or if they're just wanting to catch up on what you've been doing over the last little while, what's the best way
Yeah.
to find out more information? Where can they find information about upcoming music or what's out now or videos, all
Yeah,
that stuff?
I think, I mean, honestly, I'm most active these days probably on Instagram,
Okay,
and that's at Hey Mr. K, and that's Mister, not Mr.
okay.
So Hey Mister
I'll link to
K.
that in the show notes too, so people can
For
just
sure, yeah. And so I'm most active there, but I also have everything kind of built on my website as well, which is heyMrK.com.
cool.
But yeah, I'm kind of split between Facebook, Instagram are kind of my main way of kind of getting stuff out, or of course the mailing list through my website if you want more of the exclusive kind of insider kind of stuff, or that kind of
Cool.
information. Yeah.
As far as actual music that people can find now, what's out by Mr. K? Like what's available from the
Yeah.
Mr.
So I have
K catalog?
yeah, so if you go, if you're on Spotify or anything like that, you can check out Mr. K there. And I have at the moment, I have a few singles from this record that I kind of slowly kind of did a bit of a soft release on a few of them as I was changing with things. And then when the pandemic hit, like as I was just starting to roll out the last few before the album was actually going to come out much earlier this year,
Yeah, sure,
actually.
that makes sense. Yeah,
But then pandemic hit and we kind of just, yeah, we'll come
yeah.
back to it and figure it out. Anyway, so yeah, there's already I think 3 or 4 singles as well out there from that will be on the record, and then the rest of the tracks. So the other half of the album and the whole album as a whole is coming out probably January, February. Like I said, we'll be announcing the date very soon.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to hearing the whole thing, and I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad you're still making music, and it
Well,
seems
thanks,
like
man.
you're. It's cool that you're doing what you want to do with this now. Like I mean, especially you're out where you are. You got the foxes running around. You're doing all these different jobs as photography and music and teaching, and it seems like you have your shit together in a good way. And not that you didn't before, but like you seem like you're in a good place for being creative, which is always nice to see from anyone who does what you do. So.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to have fun with it and stay, like you said, stay true to yourself. I also have to say too, I really appreciate what you're doing and that you're working through this stuff here and you're putting out the content that you are. It's really
Thanks.
on behalf of the artists and stuff and the audience. Like it's really wonderful to see what you're doing here and how far you've come too with Witchpolice. Like you said, like it's
getting
been
ridiculous,
years since we had a fairly, like I said, a couple
Yeah,
episodes or
I
whatever.
think you were first on in like 2014 or something, maybe.
Yeah, I
It's
remember
been
you
a
used to
while.
do the word. You used to do the word roll
That's
thing, and
right.
it was like kind of based on the yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Some of those are
Cool.
hard to listen to now. Some of them are good. Some of them are really good. I haven't listened to the first one you were on, but some of them are definitely yeah, they're a little questionable. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
fun.
what better time to interview people than during a pandemic, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
at home, so I mean,
Yep.
keep doing this. Right on. Cool. Well, yeah.
For
Again,
sure.
it's always good to talk to you. I'm glad we managed to catch up. It's been a while, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the record.
You as well, Sam. Yeah. Thanks again, man.
Awesome.